You are new? Which school? You are joining now? Why? Why? We are, where are we? Transportation. Transportation, what was the last topic we discussed? Blood pressure, we are done, no? So that means we'll have to first start with the diagram today. Diagram करना है. Did we finish with the diagram? No. Take out your notebook. Check. Are we done with the diagram of the heart? I don't think so. We have done with the diagram of the heart. No. हाँ. और जो मैंने बताया था कि करके आना, वो करके आए. क्या? You are asking me. हो गया क्या दोनों diagram? दिखाया था. What is your name? Vihan. We had finished with the third part of life process. Okay, life process we had started. We had finished with nutrition. We had finished with respiration, transportation. Now only the diagram of the heart and questions did we do? We had done questions from that part. So now today I will be starting with the last segment of the chapter, that is excretory system in human. So we are done with the first three parts. Now we had already missed quite a lot. Almost 3/4 of the chapter we had missed. So that coordinator will take care how she can accommodate you. So now whatever has been happening in the class, you just follow that. Okay. So what are the notes and all that you can? Notes and all you'll have to take from them. Question, answers, whatever discussed, which are the important diagrams I told them to draw. All these things you have to take from them. The understanding explanation part, the coordinator will tell you how to manage. Now next is, we are going to start first with the diagram. Let us complete with the diagram of the heart today. As per your syllabus, we will be drawing the diagram which is given in NCERT. The diagram which is given in NCERT, that only we are going to draw. The diagram that we are going to draw. Take out your notebooks, all of you. Only with pencil to draw the diagram. I have always mentioned this. What happened? This school has started. No schools have started. No? Which are these children? These are from which school? Right. So none of these schools have started. Okay. We'll start with. The structure of the heart you'll have to draw in a specific way so that you should be able to finish the diagram just in 10 minutes. Proper labeling, drawing the diagram, you should finish in 10 minutes. So let us start with the diagram. As I draw the diagram, we'll start drawing that way. So you know exactly how to start the diagram. Now for this diagram, little bit certain points that you have to remember. As you take your page there, say suppose now this is the page. Always you have to start with the ventricle. Ventricle you start. Now this is the page I want to start with the diagram. Am I supposed to start from here? No, I should not start from here because the heart has got two segments, no? The ventricle and the upper auricles and all those vessels to draw. So the best way is let's start the diagram from here. So more or less this much and more or less this much should be your diagram. The diagram should be proportionally, this is a bit complicated, but you should know which parts you are drawing. That's why I had explained you first. You know now the terms and the names. And now that you draw the diagram, you should be aware. I am drawing the ventricle, I am drawing the auricle, I am drawing this vessel, this valve. So then the diagram is complete. Quite a number of times if this diagram comes in the paper, the children draw half of the diagram. The valves are missing, the tubes are there, valves are not there. Because the diagram has not been understood and drawn. Once you understand and draw, you will not miss out any part. So let us start the diagram. Start. The diagram that you draw has to be a little bit tilted. See here. The diagram that I draw will be a little bit tilted. Start. Start. हो गया पेंसिल पेन का पास हो गया now can you start no पेंसिल नहीं है मतलब इतना बड़ा बैग लेके आए उसके अंदर एक पेंसिल नहीं है you are a student हाँ now gives him a घर पे renovation start it will be a bit tilted, huh? Don't draw straight. Straight. Chalo. So, which part should you start with? You are actually starting with which ventricle is this? Right ventricle. Right ventricle. You are starting with the right ventricle always. Now, the next part that I start drawing, I'll have to take more or less at the same level here. So, I am drawing the left ventricle now. The left ventricle now. Start. Karo mila pencil. Start. Karo, keep doing. Understand which part by after which part, which are the parts I am drawing. It's very easy. In 5 minutes, you are done with the diagram. Labeling 10 minutes maximum. आगे इतना किया हो गया You will not draw it straight. Take a note, this has to be thicker than this. The wall of the left ventricle has to be thicker than the wall of the right ventricle. Now we draw the valves here. Let me draw the valves with a different color for you to understand, but you will use only pencils. Don't use any other color. Pencils only to shade dark. Attendance return. Cora, are you able to draw? For you, you'll have to start a little bit down. Otherwise, the upper part will not be able to accommodate. It become congested there. You will not be able to clearly label them. Even for you, ऊपर में कहाँ space छोड़ा enough. I told you this. जितना नीचे उतना ऊपर भी space होना चाहिए. Then the diagram will be complete. Done? So which are the parts we are done? We are done with the right ventricle, left ventricle, the valves more or less we are done. Now I am drawing the pulmonary artery. See from here, the pulmonary artery. क्या होगा? बहुत छोटा क्यों है? ज़्यादा ही छोटा नहीं है? हाँ? Erase and draw again. Start. This is the page. I told you this is the page. You start from here. यहाँ से यहाँ तक. That much of space should be up there also. The diagram will be not exactly in the center, little bit towards the margin, so that on the right I have enough space. Many parts to label for this diagram. Of course, in the exam you will not get more than 5 parts to label as per the question, but you should know all. Now,
for making it would not be.
Yes, it's in your syllabus. In few years it has come out. It has come out. इससे थोड़ा बड़ा होना चाहिए. See,
drawing and label.
This and this. This much is your part. Okay, so यहाँ से यहाँ तक ventricle, यहाँ से यहाँ तक auricle. 12 lines, 12 to अगर ruled book है तो 12 to 14 lines का estimate है. That much should be your diagram. हाँ, very clear. 12 to 14 lines. उतना diagram होना चाहिए, उससे छोटा नहीं और उससे बड़ा भी नहीं. This is good. चलो चलो स्टार्ट.
मेरे को चोको चोको करो.
मतलब क्या?
चोको खाने की चीज.
सीधा कोई बोला ना, सीधा
अरे इसके कोई ना.
No, it's too small. Too small. यहाँ से यहाँ तक लो, यहाँ से यहाँ तक. रेनोवेशन हो रहा है ना, मैं तुम्हारा खुद का रेनोवेशन करा दूँगी, समझा? कोई नॉनसेंस नहीं कर सकते.
डायग्राम मैं क्या बोला? हम देखो इससे पूछो.
तू इधर आ. Get up and come here.
हम नहीं बात कर रहा था.
Basically, there is too much of congestion that side. इधर आ जाओ.
हम उधर से कर रहे हैं.
तो privilege मिल रहा है तो ले लो ना. कोई और को अगर मैं ये चांस दी तो 1 सेकंड में आ भी जाता. किसी और को तुमको अगर चांस दी
कोई नहीं जाएगा हम में से.
अच्छे बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Done till here, all of you? Now, this is the pulmonary artery. Now we are going to draw the vena cava. Vena cava will have to be drawn from the right side in the form of a tube, followed by the right auricle. So this is the vena cava that we draw. You talk less, then only you can concentrate on the diagram. When you are talking only, how will you concentrate? You understand what am I drawing, which are the parts I am drawing. So vena cava from the lower body, upper body, and the right auricle is downward. Work here. Are you done? Are you able to draw? Are you able to draw? Now next is the left, only the left ventricle and the pulmonary vein is left. The left ventricle and the pulmonary vein. So the left ventricle and the pulmonary vein that we will draw would be something like this. ये यहाँ से आएगा aorta. Right evening, more on the right side. तो एप्पल बन गया नेक्स्ट
हार्ड बनाने तो डॉक्टर को ही अवेलेबल
ये who is singer बता दो मैं this is left this has to be pelagic. The left ventricle wall always has to be drawn thick. After that,
से निकल रहे हैं से ध्यान रखना
पेंसिल अगर शार्प नहीं होगा डायग्राम अच्छा नहीं है पेंसिल शार्प करो कैसे स्टूडेंट्स हो यू डोंट हैव अ शार्पनर यू डोंट हैव अ प्रॉपर पेंसिल हां exactly nonsense yeah you don't carry a proper you don't have a proper pencil I feel like throwing all of you out of the class
देखो ट्रेन का बाहर
मैंने नहीं बोला उसने बोला
तुमका पेपर अपना डायग्राम जो 7 8 9 पार करके आए ना 10th में ऐसे लग रहा है मुझे 10th में आ गए हैं बट
क्या दिए
स्टूडेंट वाइज कोई कैरेक्टरिस्टिक नहीं चेक लुक हियर
हम तो क्यों क्या नहीं बोले
अब ये वेंट्रिकल थोड़ा सा ठीक करो ऊपर का ऑरिकल एंड ऑल दैट पार्ट इज गुड वेंट्रिकल थोड़ा सा प्रोपोर्शनेट करो, वेंट्रिकल हो गया, स्क्वीज्ड हो गया,
ये साइड का ये
हाँ ये थोड़ा सा ब्रॉड करके कॉनिकल करो।
हम बोल तो रेड में वाले वो एयरटा
तो समझा कौन से क्या कौन से अलग-अलग कलर से अलग-अलग कलर के पेंसिल से।
No, only black. You can dark light shade कर सकते हो, but don't no color.
ऐसे शेड कर
And last यहाँ से इतना complete करो, नहीं तो पूरा confuse हो जाएगा। इतना complete करो। चल दे। ये aorta पहले नहीं करो, पहले इतनी confuse, पहले pulmonary artery complete करो, देना का वो complete करो। aorta last में draw करनी चाहिए हमेशा, then it will be proportional.
देखो नहीं आ रहा इसमें नंबर इसका बोलिए मस्त आपने बात से नहीं बनाना भाई मैं इसके डायग्राम से हो गया
ये डबल लाइन अगर डिफिकल्ट लग रहा है, डबल लाइन करने की जरूरत नहीं है, you can just make it darker. Done. This side, girls. नहीं, हाँ अभी लेंगे, बस diagram is over. इसको खाली गिवन करो, थोड़ा सा गिवन करो, this is good. Okay, so girls are much better. Good. This side, show yours. Show yours.
अब हमारी की सर्टिफिकेट
वो values का जो ये part है ना, ये थोड़ा सा clear
बड़ा वाला बनाना है।
This values has come this way. See, I'll tell you.
भाई इसके हारोटा ज्यादा बड़े हाथ छोटा है
ये और
जो भी है यार मुर्गी का दिन है अरे वो देखा ही नहीं तो देखा कैसे कट गई है वो से निकाल के हम अपने ये भी बताया
अरे हम वो किसी रस्सी से अटैच है, वो क्या होता है? रस्सी
This one is ready. With bit difficult to draw, so you should
तेरी बारी सुबह
ये bands
बता, बता,
you can see
बता,
in
बता,
ये वाला y का set ये already set फिर यहाँ से straight
तेरे से पहले मुझे बता दे
अच्छा है फिर यहाँ से यहाँ पापा ने फिर यहाँ से
ये तेरे कुछ काम का ही नहीं
now let us label the parts
no man
नहीं हुआ this 5 straight cut सीधा बैठो now this fibers you will not draw too much because in the entire explanation of the heart these are known as chordate tendinae we have not come across chordate tendinae in your portion in your syllabus these terms are not mentioned at all so इसको इतना डार्क लेबल करने की ड्रॉ करने की जरूरत नहीं है yes
क्या
which one
we have
these are the one broad vessel dividing into two parts see something like this okay two parts dividing two parts तो उसको इस तरह से ड्रॉ किया showing that it is bifurcated असलियत में तो और भी ज्यादा होता है ये एक simplified version of ड्रॉ करते हैं to understand better the structure of the heart is all curved and tangled it is not like this straight so now let us start labeling the diagram सबका हुआ क्या लगभग हाँ ये बहुत अच्छा
वेंट्रिकल में जो वाल्व है वो
ventricle
वेंट्रिकल में जो वाल्व है उससे वो किस चीज से अटैच
ये वाले muscles से actually these are the muscles
मसल
five muscular threads these are muscle fibers these are which are connecting the tip of the valve to the ventricular wall and these are the ones which are contracting relaxing and तभी जाकर valve open close हो रहा है इसको chordate tendinae बोला जाता है okay so now let us label the parts try labeling maximum on the right side okay
वो बनाना है मसल्स
नहीं बनाना तो है but since in your syllabus chordate tendinae and all I have not described क्योंकि syllabus में नहीं है so not a focus on these parts right now don't draw too many and make the diagram unnecessarily untidy okay just want to draw कर सकते हो नहीं भी करोगे not a problem now boys stop talking and finish your work what is your problem confusion है
कॉपी कर
अच्छा
डायग्राम
तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है इसकी इतनी जल्दी है असली तो मास में बहुत मास है क्या बेटा
एक काम
इसका डायग्राम
start labeling understand which parts you are to label don't just start copying you understand the parts that I have labeled you label accordingly in your diagram
मेरी स्केल बस
इसके छुपाए
No talking. Stop. Finish your work.
मैम वो जो वो बनाया ना आपने पल्मोनरी व्यू वाला जो है बीच वाले स्पेस को बनाया कि उस पे वाले वो लाइन पे
This is the pulmonary vein. This tube is the pulmonary vein.
उसको टच करना है
Ah, so I'm pointing towards that tube only. It's easy. If you know how to draw, it's easy. What is it? Right? Correct. This one is constantly talking.
मैं नहीं बोल रही है चीजें कुछ भी बोले यार
बिठा मैं उधर
पहले में बैठा था
complete your work first.
किधर जा किधर रहे जो वो पूरा पैक हो गया
Understand the parts, which are now you know the structure, parts, everything you are aware. Understand. These are concept right here. Correct. Sorry. This is right auricle.
Ma'am, ventricle part.
Concept ventricle.
Left ventricle.
Right auricle, right ventricle. Left auricle, left ventricle. Correct. Complete.
मुर्गी का हाथ लगे
नहीं, it's not छोटा, it is proportionate नहीं है, आपको बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा हो गया, ये छोटा है, थोड़ा इसके मैंने बोला था ना, when you measure, एक roughly measure करके क्या start करो,
मेरे हार्ट
थोड़ा सा और nutrition की ज़रूरत है,
उससे ज़्यादा खून
ये ventricle अगर छोटा है तो body में खून पहुँचेगा कैसे?
वो वाला जो
This one I do not have. This is pulmonary semilunar. This is pulmonary semilunar.
मैम वो जो स्पेक्ट्रम है वो बीच का गैप है ना
Septum is this wall. Septum is the wall.
मैम ये एरो
Huh?
एरो कौन सा फिगर से आ रहा है
The blood flow. You know now. You understand your birthday. ये दे auricle से ventricle आएगा, ventricle से pulmonary artery जाएगा.
समझा
अभी यहाँ से left करो.
ये अच्छा लगा
Arrows you understand and draw. You know the entire process, double circulation अभी पता है. So now you understand the arrows and draw the arrows. Finish up fast. Only 5 more minutes and finish up.
शेड्यूल मार दे
और कोई कुछ करेंगे
मैम 3 है
ऐसे तो लग रहा है. Yes now done.
हम वो ट्री का ब्रांच कुछ ज्यादा ही ऊपर नीचे
एक particular branch कुछ ज्यादा ही बड़ा. चलो you do your work. हो गया done.
ट्री नहीं है यार वो कुछ और है
अच्छा वो हम समझेंगे बाद में. पहले कंप्लीट करो. All done. Labeling all done. So now check whether you have labeled.
वो अपर वेना का वो जो है अपर बॉडी वाला वो दो पार्ट में डिवाइड होगा
That you can show. Here differences अगर नहीं दिखाओगे तो भी चलेगा.
वहाँ नहीं उसके नीचे
नीचे.
वो
लेफ्ट साइड वाला लेफ्ट साइड
This one. This is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery, if you show, then you have to show for both. Pulmonary artery divided into two. Okay. If you show for one, you have to show for both. Pulmonary artery divided into two branches. Now you check the diagram whether you have labeled both the auricle, both the ventricles, is it marked? All the 4 valves marked. Septum, is it marked? Pulmonary artery, aorta, is it marked? So these are the parts of the heart that you have to draw and label. So for transportation, till the process of double circulation, the concept of transportation in human we are done. The last topic in transportation that we are going to study would be transportation in a plant. How does the process of transportation takes place in a plant?
मैम वो जो एरोज है ब्लड फ्लो को दूसरे कलर से बनाएंगे वरना फिर वो लेबलिंग और वो मिक्स हो जाएगा
Black pen. Only black pen is allowed by the board. No other black marker. Marker नहीं. Black ball pen, gel pen, whatever. Marking. If you want to use any pen, you can use only black pen.
अच्छा वो नाम
whatever labeling या arrows के लिए pencil से ही करना है. If at all you are doing not with any colored pen, black pen is allowed by the book. Okay. For diagrams. Diagrams मतलब at the most if you want to mark specific things. Like as he asked, can I draw the arrows? So don't take risk of marking too much with the black pen. Arrows and all, yeah, it's okay. But prominent parts to draw, label with a black pen, don't.
वो septum
Septum, T-U-M. T-U-M. पेड़ में अभी फूल खिलेगा. तुम अपना काम कंप्लीट करो. डन ना?
क्यों याद है आप मुझे वही चाहिए
Complete fast. You are taking so long. How many are absent today? 1, 2, 3, 4 are absent.
Either एक
absent नहीं थी बीच में एक absent नहीं थी बीच में
हाँ. अच्छा, that girl in the front. हाँ, 2 girls should sit here.
दोनों में से एक
Okay, last 1 more minute. Finish up. I'll not wait anymore. Done. All of you finish. You stop. Stop. This is a classroom. यहाँ पे दिल का हाल नहीं बोलना है. क्लास के बाद ब्रेक दिया जाता है ना. That time you talk. Whatever जो भी बताना है. हाँ. Arrows बनाना compulsory नहीं है, but that is just a accessory. And किसने किया ये?
मैं थोड़ी किया इसने किया.
इसके तो आप पेरेंट्स को बुला के ना मैं सीधा घर बिठाऊंगी.
मैम मैंने नहीं किया था, इसने किया था. एसडी को
सीधा सस्पेंशन देने वाली 2 हफ्ते का.
हम उसने मारा मैम, मैंने नहीं मारा.
हाँ? ऐसा मत करो. क्यों बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है तुम्हारा. ऐसा एंटरटेनमेंट मुझे नहीं चाहिए.
नहीं मैम मैंने नहीं मारा इसको.
चलो डेकोरेशन बाद में करो. फटाफट फिनिश द डायग्राम. Now I'm going to show you a small concept about the concept of transportation in plants. The last topic so far, transportation is concerned. So when we are talking about, okay, na? So transportation in plants. Let us look into a small concept to understand transportation. You are already aware about
transportation in plants. At the end of this session, you will be able to know the function of xylem and phloem cells
look into this
and
video.
explain transportation in plants. All plants need water. Plant roots absorb water and minerals from the soil. Water absorption is mainly carried out by root hairs.
Get acquainted with the words.
These narrow-walled hairs greatly increase the area over which water absorption can take place. Water and minerals enter the root by 2 pathways: apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. If water and minerals move from cell to cell through spaces between the cell walls, then it is known as apoplastic pathway. In symplastic pathway, the water and minerals move across the cytoplasm and finally reaches the xylem. vessels are long, narrow, hollow tubes containing no living material. The xylem transports water and soluble mineral nutrients from the roots to other parts of a plant. About 95% of the water absorbed is lost through the stomata present in the leaves. This process is known as transpiration. The number of stomata is more on the lower surface of leaves. If transpiration happens throughout the day, then there will be a great loss of water. This is controlled by the stomatal opening and closing mechanism. During the daytime, water enters into the guard cells along with the potassium ions. This brings about a change in the shape of the guard cells, and the stoma opens. During the night, the potassium ions and water molecules leave the guard cells. Thus, the turgidity decreases and the stoma closes. Stomata also act as main sites of gaseous exchange in plants. Leaves make use of water and the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Glucose formed during photosynthesis is transported to the other parts of the body through phloem cells. Phloem tissue consists of less specialized and nucleate parenchyma cells, sieve tube cells, and companion cells. Transport of food in phloem can be up or down the stem to reach all parts of the plant. Hence, the transportation in plants is the function of xylem and phloem cells.
Okay, so this is what you have to study now. Oh, that's not connected.
नहीं
So now transportation in plants, small concept that you have to study. Already I had studied about xylem, phloem, in the 9th standard. No? So now bit of that concept to remember and some new terms and processes also, methods you have to come across. Let us study a concept of transportation in plants. What are the processes involved? The most important tissues that we talk about, the most important tissues. Now this is a plant that I understand. This plant will have two prominent vascular bundles. What are the two prominent vascular bundles of conducting tissues? The xylem and the phloem. Now, to understand the position of the xylem and the phloem, so if I am thinking of a stem, and then the root, stem, branches, they are connected. So I may think of that in this particular entire arrangement, where is the xylem and where is the phloem? The xylem is always centrally placed, connecting the root, stem, branches, and the veins of the leaves. So I would understand that this is the xylem, which is almost centrally placed, connecting what I just now mentioned. It is connecting the root, it is connecting the stem, the branches, and it will be connecting the veins of the leaves. So these are the four parts to understand. Get up and come here. You are constantly disturbing all of them. Constantly you talk. What is the need? Can you tell me? Move. Us taraf ja. Us taraf ja. Now, when we are talking about the position of the xylem, why did we draw the xylem this way? Because the xylem is a tubular arrangement of cells. What are the different types of cells? 4 types of cells are there forming the xylem. What are the 4 types of cells? Get studied. What are the 4 types of cells that form the xylem and result in the formation of a tubular arrangement? In this short video also you have come across. What are those 4 types of cells? Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers. So ये जो 4 तरह के cells है, which is a complex tissue. That's why we say xylem is a complex tissue. So all these 4 types of cells will aggregate, cluster in such a way that they form a continuous tube-like structure connecting the roots to the upper parts of the plant. Are we connecting the roots to the upper parts of the plant? Meaning, what are we trying to understand? What is surrounding the soil water? We are talking about the soil water. Now, I also want to understand, this is a xylem tube. The xylem tube must be very much in close contact with the root cells. So certain processes about the root cells also we have to come across. So why I draw this cell, these cells I am drawing, try to signify that these are the root cells. I showed you this small video where you are getting an idea. The roots remain connected to the leaf. How and what the process. So now if this is the xylem, let us learn about the xylem first. Transportation that we are understanding. What are the concepts of transportation we are understanding? First, we will have to understand transportation of water and minerals. The transportation of water and minerals. So this is first we are understanding. What are some of the words, processes? First thing is, this entire xylem tube that I understand is always filled and packed with water. The xylem tube is always packed with water. Just now I mentioned this is a continuous series of cells arranged from the roots to the upper parts of the plant. Now I understand. Look into any xylem tube of a plant. What is its characteristic? What is its condition? Always filled with water as long as the soil has water. As long as the soil has water, the xylem tube is filled with water. But now, if the surrounding is hot and dry, what will happen to a small amount of the water? What does happen to a small amount of the water? This small amount of the water gets converted to vapor and it is lost in the atmosphere. And this process is what we are talking about as transpiration. This process is what we are talking about as transpiration. Then what is the definition of this word? What is transpiration? Conversion of water in the form of water vapor. Why is this process necessary for a plant? This process is necessary for a plant because the plant always has to give away the excess water in the form of water vapor. So I say that this concept transpiration that I am talking about, I say that this water in the loss of water vapor. Can you tell me if the weather condition is like this, will the rate of transpiration be very high? No. So what is deciding that how much of the water loss should be happening? What decides how much of the water loss should happen? The surrounding of the plant, the surrounding of the leaf. So surrounding of the leaf, if it is hot and dry, definitely the loss of water in the form of water vapor is much more. So the first thing that I'm talking about, the first process that I'm talking about is transpiration. Remember the definition of transpiration we will write. The loss of excess water from a plant in the form of water vapor. But in the form of water vapor by specialized pores also, you have seen in that video, specialized pores. So now I talk about that first, what is happening for the process of transportation of the water. What is the first thing happening in a plant? The first thing that is happening in a plant is transpiration with the help of specialized structures known as stomata. Transpiration with the help of specialized structures known as stomata. Where is stomata present? On the lower surface of the leaf maximally. Any type of a leaf I understand, the most common type of plants if I see, look into the surface of the leaf, the lower surface has got more stomata than the upper surface. So that's the reason we have seen also in the video, transpiration is maximally by the stomata. What was mentioned in that video there? Almost 97% of the plant's water is always lost in the form of vapor by a process known as transpiration. Yes, that 97%, 95 to 97% that we are talking about is by the way of the stomata. So what is the first thing I'm saying? The first thing I'm saying is the water which is there in the xylem from time to time will be lost in the form of vapor. What is the process? Transpiration. When will the rate of transpiration be high? When the surrounding is hot and dry or windy. If a day is windy day, if it is a windy day, the rate of transpiration is very high. But if it is a day like this today, the temperature is low, already so much humid, the air is already saturated with water vapor. So now the process of transpiration is less. So we are understanding that on a hot summer bright day, what would happen? The loss of water in the form of water vapor takes place. So if the loss of water in the form of water vapor takes place, then what? There is an empty space created in the xylem. Try understanding step by step. The moment there is an empty space in the xylem, what will happen? This empty space has to be filled in by the water molecule. So this empty space, will it remain for long? No, this entire column of water will move up. The entire column of water moves up. The entire column of water moves up. So I'm saying the entire column of water moves up. So what is this entire process known as? To fill in that empty space, it is not one or two molecules of water which will go and fill the empty space. What happens? Entire chain of water moves up because water molecules always have a tendency of attaching to each other. They always remain attached to each other. So that's the reason the entire chain of water will move up. So what is this entire chain of water moving up? What is this process known as? This process is known as ascent of sap. What is it? So now when we are talking about transpiration, what I said, after the process, so you can switch it up for some time. So now that we are talking about transpiration, transpiration has taken place. After the process of transpiration, now what? The entire column of water moves up. But is it only water moving up or water and salts, minerals moving up? It is salts and minerals, everything, no? The water is mixed with the minerals. So I would say the water moves up. Column of water moves up. Along with this, minerals also moving up. What is this upward movement of the water and the minerals known as ascent of sap? Okay, so now I say that this entire column of water has moved up. But if the entire column of water has moved up, then definitely there is an empty space here at the level of the roots. I am saying a chain of water. So, जो empty space ऊपर में create हुआ है at the level of the veins of the leaf. Now the entire column goes up. So definitely at the level of the roots down there in the soil, there must be an empty space. So how will this empty space be filled in? So now the roots have to absorb water to fill in this. So now this particular empty space has to be filled in. How will this empty space be filled in? I may think of the first root cells. This root cell will give away its water and fill in the space here. But this root cell is giving away the water. What is this process known as? Osmosis. So how is this root cell giving away the water? The root cell was having its water and the root cell inside the vacuole, the root cell has the sap, matlab water and minerals. So what is actually present here? It is not only water, it is sap here. It is not only water inside the root cells, it is not only water, it is sap. The moment that xylem tube was becoming empty, now the root cell gives water to the xylem tube. अब ये तो filled हो गया. But what is happening to this root cell? Is it not becoming hypertonic? Is this root cell giving away water? Is this root cell not becoming concentrated? ये sap concentrated हो रहा है. Why? Because ये जो fill करना था gap, this root cell has given water. अब ये vacuole थोड़ा सा shrink हो गया because it has given away so much of water. And जो salts and ions इसके अंदर है, that has become hypertonic. Hypertonic मतलब concentrated हो गया. So what will happen to this cell now? Yes, the vacuole is shrinking. The cell is becoming little bit wrinkled. But how will this cell be balanced? Now the water from this cell goes here. The water from the surrounding cell will go now to the previous cell. जो भी सारे cells have suffered from shrinkage, they will get water from the surrounding cells. They will get water from the surrounding layers of cells, and this process goes on. This process goes on. So at any time, if I consider a root cell and the surrounding water, I consider the root cell and the surrounding water. which is a hypertonic medium always?
Surrounding.
Right? Understand?
Root.
Anytime when I compare the root cell and the surrounding water,
Root cell.
the root cell is always getting hypertonic because one root cell is always giving water to the next, to the surrounding, and that is how the xylem tube is always filled in. Why the xylem tube has to be filled in all throughout the day? Because up there, the xylem tube is losing water by a process known as transpiration. So this process by which the soil water enters the root cell, or this process by which the soil water enters the root cell, what is this process known as? This process is known as osmosis. This particular process, osmosis, which is happening at the level of the roots, and the other process known as transpiration, which is happening at the upper parts of the plant, are the two main processes involved in the transport of the water and the minerals by the way of the xylem. So what is the sequence we had understood? Transpiration by the stomata, majorly by the stomata, or भी दो तीन structures है of the plant which can release out water, but right now we are only talking about the stomata. Now transpiration by stomata. Next one, because of transpiration, now the movement of the water and minerals upward. What is that process of movement known as? Ascent of sap. That is called ascent of sap. अब जब ascent of sap हो रहा है, now next is what? Cell to cell osmosis. Cell to cell osmosis has to happen. That is what I explained to you just now. एक cell से दूसरे cell में, एक cell से दूसरे cell में, this is happening. And again, osmosis of the root cells. Osmosis of the root cell also has to happen, and this will be followed by cell to cell osmosis, then ascent of sap. Now, one more thing to understand is, I am talking about the upward movement. I just now mentioned that will the rate of movement of the water always remain the same? No. As of today, I mentioned the rate of movement of the water is slow today. The rate of movement of the water, the ascent of sap in the xylem tube today is very slow. But if I talk about that suddenly now by 12 o'clock, suddenly now by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, if the temperature rises, or after 2 days, I understand the temperature again rises to something around 37, 38, and it's a bright sunny day or windy day also at the same time, what will happen? The process will be very, very fast. The rate of transpiration will be very fast. So now, one more concept we have to understand. The rate of transpiration will decide what is the speed in which the water molecules move in the xylem. So that means every time in the xylem tube, there is always a pulling force of the water. Every time in the xylem tube, the loss and the gain is almost the same. Whatever the plant loses, that much the plant will gain back. So this pulling force, which is allowing the water constantly move up, this pulling force is mainly because of transpiration. Hence, this pulling force is also known as transpirational pull. What is this process known as? What is this pulling force known as? This is known as transpirational pull. You are asked questions. Name the force which helps in the continuous movement of the water upwards. The force which helps in the pulling force which helps in the continuous process of water movement upwards is the transpirational pull. Is a transpirational pull क्यों कहा जाता है? Because the entire pulling of the water is mainly because of the transpiration. On a hot summer day, high. On a cool and a moist day, the process is slow. So that is about the transpiration and the ascent of sap. Next is, we are still to talk about the process of conduction of the food now. Yet in the last part of the video there. So now when we think of a leaf, I talk about a leaf. The upper parts of the plant has got hundreds of leaves. What are the specialized cells in a leaf which undergo the process of photosynthesis? Specialized cells of the leaf which undergo the process of photosynthesis? Specialized cells of the leaf which undergo photosynthesis? Cells which undergo the process of photosynthesis? Organelle which helps in the process of photosynthesis. Chloroplast. Pigment which helps in the process of photosynthesis. Chlorophyll. And the cells, mesophyll cells. So when we are talking about, if you remember the diagram and the images, and we had drawn also the section of the leaf, the diagram you have in your textbook, I had asked you to mark those names of the cells. Yes or no? देखो diagram निकालो.
There is a question in which it is asked, why is there a transpiration full difference in summers and during the month?
Because why is the transpiration? I explained you just now. Why is the transpirational pull much faster on a bright sunny day and very low on a humid day, on a moist monsoon day? Why? Because the loss of water in the form of water vapor is less. On a moist day, the outside of the plant, the outside of the leaf is already saturated with water vapor. That's the reason the release of water in the form of water vapor cannot happen. But on a hot, sunny, dry day, the outside is so dry, water vapor less, water vapor more. So diffusion can easily happen. We have to write about diffusion there. It is diffusion. Talk about today the clothes that we are washing. Is it getting dry? In one particular day, it is not getting dried also properly. And the monsoon again in the month of July, August, we get to see every year. But in the month of April, May, what's happening? It gets dried out so fast. Why does it get dried out? The process of diffusion and evaporation is so fast. Outside is dry and hot. So these are the concepts that you'll have to write down. यहाँ पे कुछ डाउट है आया समझ में? What is transpiration? Transpirational pull क्या है? Osmosis, how is it related? And ascent of sap क्या है? So these are the four things, four major concepts that you'll have to remember. Talking about the phloem. Talking about the phloem, what are you supposed to understand? What is the location of the phloem first of all? If I understand that in a plant, this is the position of the xylem. The phloem is always on the outer region of the xylem. Now, if this is the xylem, then where is the phloem? The phloem is always here. The phloem is always here. And what is being packed up in the phloem? The phloem will be on either sides of the xylem. The phloem is always on either sides of the xylem. Connecting what? Connecting the leaf to all parts of the plant. In that video also you had come across, I talk about a single leaf now. There are hundreds in a plant. Every single leaf will remain connected to the nearby phloem. What is the process happening in the leaf? If I have to understand, what is the process happening in the leaf? In one particular leaf, a process known as photosynthesis is happening. The leaves have got specific type of cells, the mesophyll cells that I already told you. And this process of photosynthesis will result in the formation of the glucose. But in the leaf cells, the glucose will get converted into a bit complex form. What is that bit complex form I'm talking about? The sucrose. So the glucose that has been formed by the leaf cells, glucose will get converted to sucrose. And then now next what? This sucrose will get dissolved in the plant cells. Dissolved in the phloem cells. Now I'm talking about the phloem cells. So whatever food the leaf cells are preparing, mesophyll cells may with the help of the chloroplast, whatever food is getting prepared, the glucose is getting prepared. This glucose in the form of sucrose will get dissolved in the phloem. But this phloem can bring about different directional movement. It can bring about movement downwards also. From one leaf, the food may come down to the branches to the roots also. And the phloem can take the food upwards also. From one particular leaf, the food can go laterally also. So for the distribution of the food by the phloem, it can happen in all directions, downwards and upwards and laterally, all. But the moment I talk about the distribution of water minerals by the xylem, always upwards, unidirectional always. So this method of distribution of the food by the phloem, what is this method known as? This method is known as translocation. What is this word? This is known as translocation. This word you'll have to take a note. The method of distribution of the food by the phloem, that is known as translocation. So here, the types of the cells. Now when you write your answer, the types of the cells also have to be mentioned. but not too much in detail. I did not draw the cells and all those structures to show you. इतना detail ज़रूरत नहीं है for you all. But you have to remember to mention the names of the cells, especially if I talk about the xylem, which are the prominent cells of the xylem which helps in the transport, tracheids and vessels. Parenchyma is always for storage. Fibers are majorly for protection and support. So, सबसे important cells of the xylem which help in the transport of the water minerals is always the tracheids and the vessels. So, whenever you are writing the answer, you have to mention them. Talk about the phloem. What are the cells of the phloem? The sieve tubes, the companion cells, phloem, parenchyma, fibers. Again, the parenchyma and the fibers are majorly for storage, protection. So, सबसे important cells which are helping in the transport upwards, downwards, lateral directions. Now, the sieve tubes are the companion cells majorly. So, whenever you write your answers, you'll have to mention that. Look into your volume. The answer for this is already given. We're already given you the answer there. I want you to go through this. I'll give you 5 minutes. Go through this and tell me if there's anything that is not understood. Look into the volume. Transportation in plants, find out. Transportation in plants, find out and read that segment of the chapter in given. Where you will also have to write down the role of ATP. ATP is also utilized in the entire process of transport. So just go through once and take that. I'm not giving you any note on it. They're already given in the volume. Read from there. Read. Mark that. Mark karke rakho. That is important. So from there itself, straight away you can read and answer any question in the exam. Read that. I'll give you 5 minutes. Find out if there's any doubt. Which page is it? 163. And mark bhi karo. All of you mark that topic. You have to read. Process है पूरा transportation in plants. उसके अंदर 2 topics we are studying. Transportation by the xylem, that is water minerals, and transportation by the phloem, that is food. Any doubt? Clarify karo. And that is what you will read for your exams also.
Wilting of leaves क्या?
Wilting मतलब when the water is less on a hot summer day, rate of transpiration बहुत ज़्यादा है, so now the leaves will start wrinkling. If it is a weak stem, I talk about coriander है, हाँ, they will wilt. Wilt मतलब drooping down, bend हो जाना.
वो रिपोर्टिंग करने के बाद भी वैसे हो जाता है. Repotting करने के
हाँ,
बाद.
हाँ, because they are not able to absorb the water very fast. Distraction बहुत है. Meditation की जरूरत है. I have to talk to your mother.
Distance between soil containing organisms and soil area. Distance between soil containing organisms and root area.
Root hairs.
वो जो roots कभी-कभी ऐसे wall पे stick होके आगे बढ़
That is because when the root cells have developed too much of water, matlab the rate of transpiration is happening, but then still the soil has water and all these root cells they have developed so much of water, usko turgor pressure बोलते हैं, so much of water is there that the sap starts exerting a pressure towards the cell wall.
ये वो नहीं बोल रहा, अगर कोई प्लांट है जो ऐसे मतलब क्रीपर टाइप है, मनी प्लांट हो गया, अगर उसको हम दीवार को ऐसे सटा के उसका पॉट रखते हैं तो बाद में वो क्रीप करके
हाँ, that is the concept of tropic movement. Plants respond to touch because the stem of these money plants and variety of creepers and climbers उनमें sclerenchyma नहीं होती है, so they are not rigid, so they would always grow like all the pumpkin and the goat plants.
चिपक जाता
हाँ,
है।
they would always attach to any other support and then keep growing. You take a stem or the other nearby plant, they will encircle around. It's all for all these type of plants which have got a weaker, thinner stem. But if I talk about the
लेकिन मैम अगर हम उसको रखें और उसके बाजू में क्रीपर रखें, मतलब एक प्लांट है उसके बाजू में उस क्रीपर को लगाए, तो वो जो रूट्स है वो जो मेन प्लांट है बड़ा वाला उसको अटैच होकर उसके मिनरल्स यूज कर सकते हैं, सब करते हैं क्या?
The creeper or the climber, yes, if at all the stem comes in contact with the soil of the other pot, other plant, they will start developing there and absorb nutrients and they will grow. But the characteristics of the plant तो वही रहेगा. Then also it will remain as a soft plant.
वो नहीं बोल रहा, एक ही पॉट में बीच में एक मेन प्लांट लगा है मैंगो ट्री, उसके बाजू वही पॉट में साइड में क्रीपर लगा है, तो क्रीपर मैंगो ट्री के
सर्कल करके ग्रो होगा
और जब वो सर्कल करके ग्रो होगा उसके रूट्स स्टेम को पूरा ऐसे चिपक जाएंगे ना, तो उसकी वजह से मैंगो ट्री पर न्यूट्रिएंट्स को खींच सकता है,
खींचेगा, it will absorb, but it will absorb only water minerals, it will not absorb the sugar straight away, only the water minerals it will absorb. Anything to clarify? See, there's a question in your textbook. That is what the points are mentioned in the volume also, page number 96. If you check, question number 3, question number 4, question number 5. And these are the common questions which you get in your paper. Question number 3, 4, 5. Question number 3, if you check, what is the answer for question number 3? What should you write? What are the components they are asking? What are the components of the transport system in a plant? What are the components? Your answer should be, the components are two main vascular tissues, vascular bundle, xylem and phloem. And xylem, what type of cells, and phloem, what type of cells. So if this is a 2-mark question, you'll have to write down all the types of cells that the xylem and the phloem made up of, and roughly what their functions are. Let us take that question separately as it is. The rest 2 questions are already answered in this part of the volume. Okay, just write this question number 3 in your notebook. Write number 3 in your notebook separately for the cells. Little bit extra, let me give you. For the 4th and the 5th, how is water, mineral transported, how is food transported, everything is mentioned in that segment of the volume. So tick karo and please read the answer from there. Only this one let us write. What are the components? The question is, what are the components of the transport system in highly organized plants? Highly organized means we are talking about the gymnosperms and the angiosperms. Highly organized plants. Number 3, देखो वहाँ से. Question number 3. What are the components of the transport system What are the components of the transport system in highly organized plants? Components of transport system in highly organized plants. Answer Rico. Two major components of the transport system in a plant. Two major components of the transport system in a plant are the vascular bundles of a plant are the vascular bundles, that is the xylem and the phloem. That is the xylem and the phloem. Full stop.
That is
The xylem and the phloem. Full stop. The xylem is a compound tissue. Xylem is a compound tissue consisting of 4 types of elements. Xylem is a compound tissue consisting of 4 types of elements. The tracheids, consisting of 4 types of elements. इनको cells या तो elements भी बोला जाता है. Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Full stop. Tracheids and vessels
xylem.
and xylem fibers. Fibres and xylem fibers. Next, tracheids and vessels. Majorly help in the distribution of water and minerals unidirectionally. Water and minerals unidirectionally in a plant, comma, parenchyma helps in transport as well as supporting the plant. Parenchyma helps in transport as well as support to the plant. And fibers helps in transport and support to the plant. And fibers help in support and protection. Next paragraph. Phloem, the other major component, placed close to the bark, consisting of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Full stop, just two more lines. They connect the leaves to all parts of the plant. All parts of the plant. The food formed in the leaves, food formed in the leaves by photosynthesis is glucose, which is converted to sucrose, which is converted to sucrose, which is converted to sucrose, is glucose. Food formed by photosynthesis is glucose, which is converted to sucrose and dissolved in the phloem cells. Dissolved in the phloem cells and distributed to all plant parts. Dissolved in the phloem cells and distributed to all plant parts. So here you are majorly writing about the phloem and the xylem components. Okay, continue after the break.